So as we all know, every cloud platform has its own benefits, and by analyzing the business strategies and defining which cloud technology fits best to the strategy, enterprises can really take advantage of multi-cloud. So a strategy should be cloud first rather than just be cloud fit to take real benefit of multi-cloud ecosystem. Today, we are going to discuss some of these aspects related to multi-cloud platforms and its governance at scale. We'll start with exploring growing industry trends of multi-cloud architectures and its mapping with business requirements. We'll also discuss few challenges with multi-cloud strategies and how we can overcome those with proper governance plans. Can you go to the previous slide? Yeah. Today with me, I have Nidhi, Ashi, Arun, and Sparsh as the speakers, and they will help me with the insights on governance at scale for various cloud platforms. I would like to request everyone to give a brief introduction about them. I can go first. So I'm Gopal Singhal, a cloud practitioner and strategist. I have over 17 years of experience in managing cloud and on-prem infrastructures. And I'm with ThoughtWorks for over 4 years now. So maybe Nidhi, you can go next.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am Nidhi and I am with ThoughtWorks for past 3.5 years. And I am a developer at ThoughtWorks, partially working as a DevOps person as well. That is it about me. Ashi, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Ashi, and I am acting as an infrastructure consultant in ThoughtWorks, and I have about 6 years of experience in the cloud domain. I have worked in like managing the on-premise as well as the clouds, working with the Azure. So yeah, and it's about 3.5 years working in ThoughtWorks to me. Might be Arun, you would go next.
Yeah, thank you, Ashi. Hello, everyone. I'm Arun, and I'm working as a senior consultant with ThoughtWorks. I have 10 plus years of experience in infra or maybe infra and DevOps domain. So, Sparsh, if you want to go next.
First, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Sparsh. I've been with ThoughtWorks for 2 years and I'll talk about GCP and how cloud governance can be implemented there at the end. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So let's move to the next slide. Yeah, so in today's session, so in today's session, we'll start with a brief discussion about business acceleration using multi-cloud. And then we'll jump onto governance strategies for AWS, Azure, and GCP cloud respectively. So in like we have roughly 2 hours, and in such short time frame, like we cannot cover everything, like all tools, technologies for covering the governance for all these clouds. But we'll try to give you an idea on a few of the options and briefly talk about them, like how we can go in that direction. Next slide, please. Yeah. Previous one. Yeah, this one. Yeah, so Krati, can you please launch the poll?
Yeah, yes, Gopal.
Okay. So we'll wait for a few seconds before everyone can submit their answer, and then we can see how many people are already using multiple clouds in their company. I think we can close. Yeah, so results are like 50-50. So 50% of the people are already using multi-cloud, and rest of the people are still on the single cloud platform. So it's a good mix. Previous slide, please. Yeah. So as we collected the data, like there were some surveys also done on multi-cloud adoption. According to Gartner, 81% of organizations are working with 2 or more public cloud providers already. And according to 2021 State of the Cloud report, 79% of the companies are using AWS, and 76% are using Azure for some or all of their application workloads, and around 44% are using Google, followed by Oracle, VMware, IBM, and all. And on an average, an organization is using 2.6 cloud providers. So it's a good number with like 2.6. That shows like a lot of companies are more than 2 or like close to 3 cloud providers at a time. And if we talk about the multi-cloud trends and the growing trends with multi-cloud, so the fastest growing trend is about container technologies such as Kubernetes and Docker. And one of the biggest advantage of containers is that it allows rapid development and scaling of application across and on-prem. And it provides a clear separation for application development and infrastructure, which allows developers to focus on application dependencies and logic, whereas operations team can focus on deploying and managing infrastructure. So they don't need to worry about application internals and all. Another trend that is like watchful is the continued adoption of serverless computing. So with serverless architecture, the physical hardware, VMs, operating system are all outsourced to cloud service provider. Management tasks such as capacity, patching, and all these are handled by the provider. All we have to worry is about application code. So serverless architecture allows developers to like write code, set configuration parameters, and just upload the package to cloud. And it can scale up and down based on the requirements, like the number of requests and all. So yeah, that was about the trends we are seeing in current market around multi-cloud. So in this section, we'll start with an introduction to multi-cloud, and then we'll talk about some benefits it brings to the organizations if they go with multi-cloud architectures, and also talk about some challenges with multi-cloud platforms and how we can overcome these challenges with right scaffold for multi-cloud environments. So next slide, please. Yeah. So now to start with, what is a private cloud? So the multi-cloud is a combination of multiple of these. So we'll start with the private cloud. So a private cloud consists of cloud computing resources used exclusively by one organization. So that is the key, that it is exclusively available for just one organization. So the private cloud can be physically located in that particular organization, or it can be hosted by a third-party service provider. But the core is that services and infrastructure that are maintained for this private network are dedicatedly or like solely available for that particular organization. So this way, it makes for organization, it makes easier to like consume the resources and match it to their specific IT requirements. Now, these private clouds, these are more oftenly used by government agencies, financial institutions, or any other like large size organizations who are seeking enhanced control and security for their environments. On the other hand, public clouds and its resources like server storages are owned by third-party cloud providers like AWS, Azure, GCP, and these are delivered over the internet. So organizations, they sign up for these public clouds, and then they consume the public cloud hardware, storage, network with other tenants, and they access it through web browser, through APIs or CLIs to consume these public clouds. So and public clouds as of today are the most common cloud computing frameworks. Private cloud is diminishing with time, but it is still i- like coming up in a new format where these public cloud providers are providing mechanisms to set up private clouds and have a seamless experience across the two. A hybrid cloud is a type of cloud computing that is just a mix or combination of private cloud and public cloud. So it allows data to move from one to other, as we see in the diagram, we have private on the left, public on the right, and then combination of the two is hybrid. So data and application can move from one to another in case of hybrid cloud. So a lot of organizations are moving towards hybrid cloud due to their business requirements, where they need to meet regulatory requirements. And on top of that, they are taking advantage of the all on-premise hardware or technologies where they have already invested. So that way they can reuse all that stuff, and at the same time they can leverage the benefit of public cloud. Moving on to multi-cloud. So this is, I would say, the combination of all in a way. So a multi-cloud refers to use of more than two clouds, and these clouds could be like both public or private, or like even having multiple clouds in multiple zones, more than two clouds in private and more than two clouds in public. So combination of multiple of these clouds falls under multi-cloud concept. So the purpose of multi-cloud concept is to provide redundancy in case of any kind of hardware or software failure. So and that is why it comprises both private and public clouds. One key difference between hybrid cloud and multi-cloud is that hybrid cloud is homogeneous in nature, and multi-cloud could be heterogeneous. So homogeneous means the cloud solution belongs to one stack. So for example, Azure public cloud and Azure stack on premise. So that way, both private and public are Azure stack based. So that can be called as a hybrid cloud. But when we have GCP, AWS, and multiple clouds being used in public, then it becomes heterogeneous, where we have separate or different stacks involved in cloud setup. So that was about the definition or understanding about different types of cloud architectures or options. Let's move on to see some of the benefits of multi-cloud. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here we'll see why a multi-cloud strategy is important or useful for large-scale enterprises. So multi-cloud architectures that comprises of public, private, and hybrid, provides different options. It's a good investment strategy for enterprises. Because this gives businesses a resilient performance and a lot of benefits that we see on the screen, prevents any kind of vendor lock-in, business resilience, and competitive pricing. So we'll talk about all of these options in detail. So to start with the vendor lock-in, a lot of companies are familiar with vendor commitments. So for example, for example, like Oracle. So when organizations enter into a relationship with such cloud providers, like it's like a lot of things are not clear initially, and then they don't know the cost implications or any kind of rules that are set up front. So these things gets uncovered with time, and can cause issues later when we have different business requirements or need some level of expansion or some level of business requirement changes. So in such cases, we have to be careful while evaluating the expectations and potential pitfalls with any of cloud providers. So when we go with multi-cloud strategy, we can avoid such kind of issues where we like stuck with a single cloud, and we have to like mold our business architectures to fit into that cloud. Next is best in class service. So when incorporating multiple clouds, so developers and administrators are able to line up the requirements with best cloud service for each individual task. For example, they can select one cloud for storage because it's providing high upload speed, and then they can opt another cloud for some other resource requirements, maybe because it has more favorable SLAs. So instead of like bending the application architecture or processes to accommodate to a provider's requirement, we get a freedom to access multiple options and match the services that fulfills the business needs. Next is risk management. So risk management is another important thing that comes with adoption of multi-cloud strategy. If one vendor happens to have some infrastructure meltdown or like kind of an attack, a multi-cloud user can quickly switch to another cloud service provider or backup to a private cloud without having like a long downtime. So it reduces the risk of failures or any kind of attacks on a single cloud provider. Next is competitive pricing. So as the number of multi-cloud providers grow, they form a competitive market that strives for offering optimal price to remain attractive in the market and like remain attractive for majority of cloud users. And like since we have like multiple such options available, we can select the best vendor based on the offerings, cost offerings, such as like payment flexibilities, some adjustable contracts like use it and then pay later, some customizable capacities, and some like costing options based on long-term engagements and all. So we can leverage those options when we have multi-cloud as an option. Moving on, so business resilience. So a multi-cloud arrangement also protects a company's critical business application and data by offering backup and recovery capabilities like across regions, across clouds, to cover up like outages like power outage or natural disaster. So it is like very similar to risk management, but this ensures that our business is not impacted if there are any problems with one of the cloud providers. So next item is scalability and resource optimization. So like in last 2 years, like roughly 90% of the data is created in last 2 years only. And that is because of the cloud platform, which has a lot of storage options. And this multi-cloud enhances that storage capability by providing a scalability option for just not just the data to be stored, but for analyzing it, for running workflows against it, So that way, like data and workloads all can be scaled across regions based on the requirements, based on the needs, without worrying about any kind of restrictions in single cloud. Last is security. So that is another benefit of using multi-cloud setup. That is that it allows organizations to maintain hybrid cloud environment. So where like data can be stored in on-prem data center to comply with any kind of regulatory requirements, and an application can still go with public cloud to leverage the scalability and cost benefits of using it. So having a multi-cloud or a hybrid cloud over here like helps in having a good combination of data security and cost benefits if you go public. Okay, moving on to next slide. So we just learned about some of the benefits of using multi-cloud for an enterprise. But with all these benefits, there are some challenges as well, which comes with the complexity a multi-cloud approach introduces, and all this depends on how we plan for a multi-cloud. So a lot of this depends on the planning or the approach to adopt multi-cloud. So businesses should always familiarize themselves with the advantages, disadvantages, limitations of these cloud vendors while making the choices, like which service to go where or which workload should be deployed where. So we'll go through each of these challenges. So first one is security. So this is like one of the biggest challenge that comes with multi-cloud. So organizations should have a thorough security evaluation before committing to any provider. So security and privacy are like the biggest issues that people have identified while moving to public cloud. And that is not because the cloud is insecure. Like clouds are one of the most secure platforms, and they provide some tooling as well. But it is important that we should understand like how those tools should be used to achieve the high security. So when we span our workloads across multiple clouds, managing security across clouds becomes more difficult. So it requires more planning to get to good security strategy for multi-cloud. Next is cloud connectivity. So again, many organizations they go with multi-cloud by accident. Like it's not by choice. Like for example, few people they were familiar with some cloud, they deployed something there, and then they realized, okay, we need some other cloud for some other thing, and then there was no proper planning upfront, and due to all this, the integration and the movement between different cloud environments, that becomes challenge. Like when we just go with the flow where we are deploying workloads to different clouds, there are chances we miss out how the application will integrate across cloud networks, how they will connect together. So that is another challenge that needs to be figured out. And another problem is like these cloud providers have solutions for connection with on-prem. Like they have solutions to provide like connectivity with on-prem or like hybrid, but there is no like a good solution around connectivity across public clouds. So as of now, it's going over the internet. So there is no good solution to have cross-cloud connectivity. So that is another challenge that comes with multi-cloud. Next is talent. So like when we have one cloud, it's easy to find people like skilled on that, but a multi-cloud environment involves like a lot more knowledge to understand the cloud structures, to understand the integrations. So like finding a person with all that knowledge is rare. So usually like when people go with or sorry, organizations go with multi-cloud, they either follow one approach, like where they find specialists per cloud, so AWS experts, Azure experts, or GCP experts, or they can even go with the role like network specialist or storage specialist, security specialist, so that way. And those people can help across clouds. So this is how like organizations are trying to fill in this challenge, but that is this challenge is always there when we go for multi-cloud. So next is complexity. So in the term multi-cloud, so multi is like many or more, and when it is about some good thing, so then it's great, like multi flexibility, multi scalability. So all these are good, but it can go for not so useful things also. So we may need to manage more. We may need to have more for the control. We may need to have more for the planning. So more clouds we include, we have a higher level of complexity, and we need more planning, more control to handle all these complexities. So getting a strategy right in terms of design and operations is very critical when we are dealing with multi-cloud complexities. So whenever we plan to go with multi-cloud, we should have an upfront um, upfront strategies around governing these clouds in a single framework. So that is very important. Moving on to next item, that is cost control and cloud sprawl. So this is another thing that has been like observed a lot with multi-cloud. So with multi-cloud, like people end up provisioning services, resources here and there, and it becomes uncontrollable, and we see that a lot of cost is incurred without having proper knowledge on why this cost has come. So this is very important that we identify like what resources were created and for what purpose, and understand the ROI for all these kind of infra provisioning. So next is lack of standardization and control. So this is, I would say, like the core across all. So like we assume that like if we create a workload, we can get it deployed to any of the cloud seamlessly, because for example, if we are using virtual machines, so all the cloud providers provide virtual machines, but our expectations are not right. Like though all the cloud providers are providing the same service, but their implementations are not the same. So there is no standard mechanism to set up some kind of services across clouds. So there is lack of standardization across clouds, and people are looking for some cloud agnostic services that can help in overcoming this challenge. So moving on to next slide. So we talked about some of the key benefits of using multi-cloud, and then we observed that there are few challenges as well if we go with multi-cloud environments. So now like we see like what is there for our rescue, like so what we can do to get a proper strategy to achieve multi-cloud environments, like how we can benefit out of multi-cloud. So scaffold uh, is what like you see over here, like so we have multi-cloud environments at the top, and then we have 5 pillars. So what does scaffold means, like so the exact meaning of scaffold is is like kind of a structure or support that construction companies or buildings uses. And this term was first used by Microsoft, like in terms of technology companies, for the support, build and management they provide for their Azure cloud. So so over here also, like we see that there are multiple pillars that are supporting or providing the enforcement for multi-cloud environments. So we'll go through these 5 pillars one by one and understand like how they can help in having having a good cloud governance at the end. So first is IAM. So this is one of the most important pillar over here. Like so, in IAM, like when we see about IAM, like the first thing that comes to our mind is people. Like we need to identify people who needs access and all. But in cloud, people are not only the identities. Like any kind of machines, functions, databases, or any other workload. Like all these are also the identities. Because they also need some authentication mechanism to perform any kind of access. They run some tasks, they perform some action, and when they are performing some action, they need to go through a proper access management, some authorization, authentication. So it is important that all these resources should be identified, and proper access management should be in place for all these resources. Coming on to next pillar, that is security. So as I mentioned earlier, these cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, they are one of the best secure platforms in the world. Like, and they have to be, because thousands of companies are hosting their application systems on these platforms. But still, like security remains a key concern for a lot of organizations, and that is not because that clouds are not secure, but because for application security, the organizations themselves are responsible. So these cloud providers, they provide some tools, mechanisms to identify security gaps, and tools to like fix those gaps. And then it's up to the organization to have a proper security policy, to use these tools at right level to fix those issues. For that, like a lot of organizations, they use some standards, some frameworks like CIS, GDPR, to identify what are the gaps, and then fill those. Next is cost management. So as we saw that there is one of the challenges, cost control and cloud sprawl. Like if we don't have enough clarity on where the resources are created and for what purpose, then it can become a challenge. So cost management is of like utmost importance. So anyone who is owning the business should have full control to understand like where the resources are created for what purpose. And if it is provisioned for some reason, then its charges are billed to the corresponding owner, like whoever is using the resource. So a proper cost management is required, like as one of the strong pillar for multi-cloud environments. Next is monitoring. So we as cloud owners, we all need visibility of our platform, what is happening and why something has happened. Is our environment healthy, or like how is the performance, how is the security? So all this are like important questions and need some level of monitoring to answer these questions. So these cloud providers like AWS, Azure, they have some monitoring services. Like for AWS, we have CloudWatch. For Azure, we have Monitor. So we can use these services to collect the logs and metrics, and then like get them to a log analytics space for further analysis, for alerting mechanism, and even for some advanced use cases like AIOps. We can have some some machine learning act on it to like give us some trends. So next is automation. That is also like a key pillar for multi-cloud. So with concepts like infrastructure as code, configuration as code, automated deployments using DevOps pipelines, companies try to automate maximum so that to reduce the cost of implementations and all. But cost is not the only factor for which like automation is required. Like I would say one of the most important advantage of automation is that it brings uniformity across environments. And when I say environments, it could be cross accounts, cross cloud. So we can have a uniform way of setting up our workloads across multiple clouds. So all these 5 pillars in combination, if planned well, can help organization in taking getting all the benefits from multi-cloud, which we just studied about. So yeah, I think that's pretty much from my side. So in this section, we like just to recap, like in this section we learned about some benefits, challenges of multi-cloud, and also briefly discussed the scaffold. That is nothing but a governance model or a framework which can be used for multi-account, multi-cloud setup for organization infrastructure requirements. And in upcoming sections, we'll go a little deeper to understand how these can be implemented in each cloud provider.